This is The Bottom Line, a show designed to help Australian businesses succeed. On the show, you'll hear from leading Australian business owners as they share the lessons they've learned building their companies. You'll learn from their successes as well as some of the challenges they've faced along the way. We also talk to experts from a range of fields who share specialised techniques you can use to improve your business. I'm your host, Savan Tuna, and I'm a director at Alexander Spencer, and I'm really passionate about helping Australian businesses succeed. The smallest actions often make the biggest difference in keeping customers loyal. So how can small businesses create experiences that keep customers coming back? Joining us is Elise Balsillie, head of Thryv Australia and New Zealand, a leading platform designed to help small businesses streamline operations, stay visible, and build stronger customer relationships. In this conversation, we'll dive into why loyalty tends to fade without obvious warning signs, the everyday actions that can either erode or strengthen customer relationships, and simple, cost-effective ways to stay connected and top of mind between visits. Let's dive in. Elise, welcome to The Bottom Line.
No, thank you for having me.
I'm very excited to have you. A passion of mine is customer experience, customers, CRM, and things around making our business better in the way that we deal with our clients. So I'm really excited to have you on the show today. But for those that aren't familiar with Thryv and your story, I'd love for you to take us on a little journey of Thryv and Elise.
Yeah, perfect. So Thryv is a NASDAQ-listed US company. Thryv acquired Census, so the Yellow Pages company here in Australia, back in 2021. Since then, we've taken a lot of traditional Yellow Pages customers who'd been very loyal to us for many years, and we've helped them digitise and modernise their business. We've helped them with things like ratings and reviews, building out a CRM system, getting them digitised and online, and really helping them with marketing their business, selling their wares, and really growing their business. From a personal perspective, I've been with the organisation for 20 years, so definitely a veteran. I started in the organisation 20 years ago before we ran around with smartphones and laptops, and back then we were doing business on carbonated paper. My role was photocopying that paper into the computer. So that's where I started, on the photocopier 20 years ago, and I think from the minute I walked into the organisation, it had ignited a passion in me. So small businesses, they're the mum and dads at the football on the weekend when I'm there with my kids. They're the friends and family, the neighbours down the road. And instantaneously, you can tangibly see the impact that you make on the lives of those small business owners. So it was definitely a contagious industry to move into. And was fortunate enough to then be able to start working in a sales environment and an account management environment, helping a lot of small businesses. So I spent about 10 years there helping small businesses market their business, grow their business, helping people make that step change back then, moving from a printed directory into the world of online. And really over that journey have had an amazing opportunity to really taste the success. And I think there is no other industry working with large corporates, it has a different feeling to it. But knowing that you're able to make such an impact on someone's life, you're able to help them go on an overseas holiday with their family for the first time, you're able to help them send their kids to private school. I think being able to make such an impact and see the difference is really powerful. We get to go out and see clients that are working at home on a dining room table and maybe it's just a husband and wife, and then you see them with a branded truck and a branded polo. You see them move into a factory and hire their first employee, and I think to know that we played some small part in the lives of those small business owners is a really powerful story. And I think 20 years later, I've still got the bug and I still love going out on the road and helping and supporting small business customers. And today I'm the vice president of the company. I run the organisation across Australia and New Zealand. So it's a pretty amazing industry to be in and definitely love helping small businesses.
I love that. Your passion is coming straight through your voice. I love talking to founders and people that are in leadership that still have that passion. 20 years you've been in the journey. Take us through your leadership journey, because you're photocopying and doing things on the ground 20 odd years ago. I'd love for our audience that are maybe not business owners just yet, or they're executives or middle management that are looking at growing into a senior role. Take us through your leadership journey and your journey of growth within the company.
Well, I think as an individual, I probably struggled a little bit in my early 20s, finding that passion and finding what I wanted to do with my life. I'd worked in the higher education sector and I enjoyed my job, but it didn't put that fire in my belly. And I think the minute I started in the organisation, and as tongue in cheek as this is, we had a CEO at the time, and I said to myself and maybe a couple of my close friends, one day I'm going to have his job. And I think as a big, bold person in their 20s who had a big, bold ambition and a big, bold dream, back then in business, there was no women in senior leadership positions. There was no women running companies. And for me, that was a challenge and an opportunity, and one that I absolutely embraced. From there, I had an incredible manager that I worked with in the early days, and he gave me the opportunity to go and work in the marketing department, go and spend some time with legal, go out on the road with some of our sales reps. And I came back in and I was like, I've found it. I want to be an account manager. I want to be on the road. And he said, that is amazing. Here is a headset. You start in the call center on Monday. And so for me, that then ignited a passion. I wanted to get into that role on the road. So I went and took the job in the contact center. I worked in sales and service. I absolutely made sure that I looked after every customer's need and requirement. And the minute I hit my target, I was fortunate enough to be given an opportunity to get that dream job as an account manager. I then worked in that role for about 5 or 6 years, managing portfolios of small business customers, looking after sort of 250 clients a year, managing all of their marketing and advertising requirements. And I was also then fortunate enough that I had a leadership team that believed in me. I put my hand up for everything. I never said no to anything. And I was given a leadership opportunity to look after a management team while a manager was on maternity leave. From there, I absolutely continued to love it. It was an opportunity to not only help small business owners, but to help the 10 or 12 people in my team achieve their why and achieve their dreams. And so I did that and stayed in those roles for about 10 years. And then I'm going to say I got really itchy feet. I could do my role inside and out. I didn't have to think about it. I knew that I'd finish number one every year because I'm a passionate, hardworking individual. And so I then went and explored a whole heap of different functions across the business. I worked in our operations team. I worked in project management. I looked after our human resources function. I went back to school and I became a project manager. I ultimately took over the program management office of the organisation. But I then started to get, it's almost like a loneliness. I missed the customers and I missed feeling the success. I was that one step too far removed from being able to tangibly feel the impact that we were making on the lives of small business owners. Now, that worked twofold because we then went and stood up a customer function where I took it as my mandate to make sure that for everybody that wasn't in a customer-facing role, that we could help spread the joy of those customers to them and really make them feel the impact that they were having, because I think we're all contributing to the success. They just don't tangibly always get to see it. So I then moved across and back into a sales role. I started as the general manager of sales for the company, moved into the role of chief revenue officer. And then when the acquisition between Thryv and Census took place, I took over as vice president of Australia. From there, we've gone from strength to strength. We've built a really successful software company on this side of the world in Australia. The team went on to acquire the Yellow Pages over in New Zealand, and I was lucky enough to get the opportunity to head up both organisations. So today, sitting in the role of Vice President of Australia and New Zealand. So
amazing story. Let's dive into what Thryv does. So in simplistic terms, can you sort of describe the solutions that Thryv solves for small business?
yeah, I think for a lot of small business customers, we're solving that thing that keeps them awake at 3 o'clock in the morning. They set out with a dream and a passion. It was somebody that loved Pilates and health and fitness that decided to open a studio. It was someone that wanted to work with their hands outside and not sit in a desk job that decided to become a plumber or an electrician or a builder and start their own business. But they didn't start those businesses to be bogged down with admin, to be spending time away from their family. And really, we're trying to help them solve the burning problems that they have. If those problems are that they don't have enough clients coming in, we can absolutely solve it for them. If they're spending too much on marketing and not generating enough business, we can solve those problems. And I think we really know the realms by which we play in. So we're not trying to be an accounting software and absolutely integrate with all of the key accounting softwares, knowing that they are playing a key part in it. But we really want to help businesses be found online. We want to help small businesses grow their business. We want to help them build their brand, from websites to social media, all of those things. And I think over the past 20 years, the biggest takeaway that I have, it has got more and more complicated. 20 years ago, you needed a couple of business cards, a logo on your van, an ad in the Yellow Pages, and you were good to go. 20 years later, you need to be on search engine marketing, search engine optimization. You need to be on socials, but all of those social channels. You need to be able to be keeping a database and communicating with your customers. And there's so many things that you need to keep across that for us, it's really about keeping it simple for a small business customer, letting them manage their business from their pocket or their desktop, and really trying to do it in a way that is so simple and easy for them that it doesn't take them away from their job.
Yeah. And for small business today, what does great customer experience really mean? And why is it so critical for the success of business?
Yeah, I think, well, 20 years ago or even 10 years ago, there was lots of tools and technology available for big corporate companies. They built out these amazing CRMs using big technology systems. They were emailing out their customer base. But that has completely been democratized now, and all small businesses have got access to amazing tools and tech to be able to support their business. My Pilates studio sends me a reminder when I don't turn up to class for a week or so. They remember my birthday and send me a message with a little coupon welcoming me to the studio to get 20% off some product. They're constantly reminding me that they care about me. Now, is the owner of the studio really the one that's sitting there caring about me, or does she have some amazing tech in the background that's helping her? Does that studio have somebody that's helping them book all of those appointments? No, they're using a piece of technology that has great booking software so that she can spend her time in the studio running classes and not having to follow up with clients and remind people about their classes. I think for a lot of small business owners, especially in the service industry, the volume of no-shows that they get is also a lot. So being able to send out reminders, make sure that you're confirming tomorrow's appointments, but doing all of that activity seamlessly when a small business owner isn't even thinking about it. There's a lot of automation that you can now build into the back end of a business that will take care of a lot of those tasks for you so that you can really focus on working in your business and generating money.
Yeah, I find that it's a minefield though, and in terms of all the tools that are available, and you kind of get bogged down to trying to figure out what suits what for different things. So does Thrive solve a lot of these problems is in a one-stop shop kind of manner, or does it serve a particular purpose better than another?
We probably have about 20 or 30 different features of the product that all work. Would you ever go out to a customer and talk to them about the 20 or 30 amazing things we're going to change in their business? Absolutely not. You are going to completely overwhelm them.
Correct.
But you are going to find out what are those one or two things that are keeping them awake at night. If that local hairdresser is having 1 in 3 of her clients not turn up for an appointment, pick that problem and solve that for them. Solve that by sending out reminders, making sure that you confirm the appointments. When people don't confirm or cancel the appointments, automatically go to a wait list of clients and fill those vacancies for them instantaneously rather than sitting at sort of a 70% show rate. Her show rate's back up to 95, 100%. And I think then you have an opportunity to look at different things. But I think if you can start with the biggest burning problem for that business and solve that, it'll go a long way to building faith and trust and credibility between you and that small business owner.
You mentioned that that Thrive helps businesses grow, get them noticed online. In this competitive market, why is growth so important to small business, and how does technology play a part in that?
I think for a lot of small business owners, and it's a really interesting one because I think post the COVID pandemic for kind of 3 or 4 years, I saw a lot of small businesses really wanting to survive and maintain what they had. They weren't looking at exceptional growth, but they were really looking at maintaining that status quo. So it was really about filling the void. At the moment, there is a huge appetite across small business owners to really help them grow the volume of leads and inquiries that they're getting into their business, but really being able to support them. I think a lot of small businesses, especially I think Australian small businesses, are quite humble. They've got people leaving them reviews online, which at times can be not so great reviews. Maybe they'll acknowledge them, maybe they won't, but they're not necessarily soliciting the amazing reviews from customers for them. They're not out there asking people to give them referrals. And I think giving them some tools and tech to help them do some of those simple things will go a long way in relation to improving their visibility online, but ultimately helping grow their business.
So let's play a scenario, a little case study. So let's use hairdresser as an example. You're a hairdresser, you've just opened your shop. You've got a couple of hairdressers. You might have some followers online from prior roles or family and friends, and you're about to go to market. Take us through from a marketing perspective, from Thrive's perspective in terms of the things that you do. What are the things that a small business owner that's about to launch or looking at growing need to implement in terms of how they look after customer marketing? What would you do in that scenario in some chronological order?
Yeah, perfect. And I think that's a really great example. So somebody that's taken that leap of faith, they're a hairdresser, they love working in the hair and beauty industry, and they've decided to go out on their own. Now, for the first couple of months, or maybe the first 12 months, your friends and family are going to be all over you. They're going to love you, they're going to support you. But over time, some of that starts to dwindle out, or you actually want to be able to move from the garage into a shop front. Now, if you're wanting to go beyond that small ecosystem that is your kind of close-knit family network, the number one pieces to start with are really making sure that you've got a great website and can be found online. Now, that website needs to be mobile optimized, but it also needs to be AI friendly. The growth of AI search at the moment is huge, and you want to make sure that you're found no matter where people are searching for you. I think there are so many platforms and so many places online that you can get free listings, whether it's your Google business profile listing, but there are so many directories online. And I think making sure that you've got a really strong presence across all of those platforms is critically important. There are lots of things that you can do that are quite low cost things when you're first starting out in business to be able to help and support you. I think from there, especially in a creative industry like hairdressing, social media is so incredibly important. They may be experts at creating some incredible hairstyles, but they're not necessarily experts at creating content. So there are great tools that you can use. And I'm not just necessarily talking about Thryv tools. There's tools right across the web, but there are great tools you can use to be able to help and support you from a social perspective. Tools today have got AI integrated into them. They're able to sit there and help you craft really great content. You can create a post that's going to work across Instagram and Facebook and across all of those platforms. So I think as a really good foundational way, they are really great places to start. From there and down the track, you can look at larger investments and trying to drive lots of leads into your business. But I think to start with, that is critically important. The other thing that I'd say for any small business owner is don't underestimate data. If you have a client walk into your studio and get their hair cut today, capture their name, their address, their phone number, and their email address, because that is free for you to use forever to be able to continue to market to that person. You can send them out reminders. You can send them out promos. If you're having a quieter time over winter, you can send a 30% special out to all of your customers. And I think a lot of small business owners don't necessarily know, A, how to capture it, but then what to do with it on the other side. It's amazing how many business owners I talk to have got these incredible Excel spreadsheets of every client they've ever worked with. They've not ever done anything with it, but they knew that it was important to have it. And so that's probably another one that I'd say is data is incredibly important. You can spend all the money you want on driving leads into your business, but unless you're going to work on turning them into repeat business, that is a very expensive one-off customer.
Do you find that now that with AI and some of these awesome tools that's available, it's a lot easier to actually do it? Or people still getting scared because it's unfamiliar and there's all these new tools and AI? Is it actually prompting them to go out and explore, or is it like it's just a minefield? It's too complicated. How do you feel the business community is engaging with the new technology?
Well, I think the exciting thing is the opportunity is now small businesses can compete with large corporates. From an end user, you can give them the exact same experience that they would get from a large telco or a large bank or an energy provider. So that is super exciting. But I think for small business owners, some of those initial steps are daunting. They've been experts at their craft for a really long time, and getting them to have the confidence in order to use some of this tech can be a little scary for a small business owner. But I think I would encourage everyone to start small, pick an area that you are comfortable in, that you're comfortable to fail in. And some of those might just be that you're getting automated reminders when someone leaves you a review online, and you're going to use AI to help you craft a response. Now, it may send back 2 or 3 different ways in which you could respond to that review. You can go in and edit it, you can personalize it, but it's just going to help you and save you time. And I think for a lot of business owners, it's helping them have that really professional front. For a lot of customers, I think it is amazing what you can do with tech now. I think of an alterations client that we have that I was out seeing recently. Her business has grown 2.5 times over the past couple of years. Now, she's had her alterations business. She's in her 50s. She's had it for her entire life. It's been an incredibly successful business, but just starting out small. And I think piece after piece she's kind of built on. She bought her first smartphone because we were working with her. She bought a hot pink laptop to help run her campaigns on. But I think we took her from a sewing machine and gave her that confidence that she didn't need to spend a whole heap of money working with a large marketing company. She could use the tools and we could instill the confidence in her that she could build her brand herself. She now gets inquiries for people wanting their wedding dress altered while she's sleeping at night. They're making online bookings for her and she's coming in the morning with a book of business that's scheduled the night before. I think the other really interesting one today is younger people. So 20 years ago, business was done 9 to 5. I can tell you now, having a child in his 20s, he sits on his bed at all hours of the day doing business online on his phone. You need to be accessible 24/7. You need to give people the opportunity to be able to make bookings and communicate with you. You don't necessarily need to be able to respond to them all in the middle of the night, but you need to be there and be present. And I think that is also really important because no longer is it just between 9 and 5 on kind of a landline phone. They're now messaging you on Messenger and WhatsApp. They're calling you on the phone, texting you. You are contactable 24/7. So making sure that there is an easy way for them to manage that, I think is really important.
I love that. Let's talk about video. I know that just internally with the stuff we're doing with our marketing and the marketing agencies that we use, we've really ramped up video. The podcast, when we originally launched it, was audio only. And over the journey, especially in the last 2 years, we've been fortunate enough to have the studio with video content. How important is video content in today's marketing strategy and getting yourself out there in terms of getting attention?
I think it is really important, but I think the piece is content doesn't have to be completely polished. You don't need a professional photographer filming you. It is amazing what you can do on a smartphone these days. And if you are a carpenter and building a house, I would say capture as much content as you can through the process. It may just be 30-second snippets of the frame going up, the walls going up, the roof getting put on. But it is amazing what you can do with that content at the end of the day to create some short, sharp, punchy videos that really highlight the skills and capability of your business. So I think for small business customers, don't be daunted by needing to have the professional studio and the professional lighting and to do it. I think people want to organically get to know a business owner. And so it can even be as simple as a number of photos that you can overlay with some imagery and voiceovers and things, but definitely a really important medium. And I think people are incredibly visual. So whether it's photos or video, you absolutely need to make sure you're maximizing it.
Yeah, what you said there's right. We had a session yesterday and I was speaking to my podcasting agency and the director of the podcasting agency that we use, and he started to put some videos online and we're chatting about that. And he's on a journey of some unique content where he just talks to the camera. It's just him and he's sharing some of his views. And we're just chatting about that whole process because our podcast today is really professionally recorded, but he does this on his phone. And I was chatting to him and he said, one of the things that he found when it's over edited, over produced, the lighting is crisp and everything is super professional, he believes that the consumer, there's a not lack of trust, but it's just overproduced and the end user's going, oh, I don't know if I trust that person as much because is it coming with some genuine, real thinking? It's just overly edited and overly produced. When you make mistakes online and when you actually don't have the best video content, he feels that he's getting a lot more traction on those type of content purely because it's genuine, it's coming from the heart. It actually, there's that trust factor. What do you say to that? You mentioned don't be afraid to make mistakes. Do you think it's better to have that, content that's just not as overly polished and just do as many of them? And how do you feel about what your views are in how the consumer takes that kind of content?
I completely agree with them. I think people want to deal with people. They don't want to watch a video that looks like a stock image. They don't want to look at content where they don't actually know, was that you that built that house? Or have you just found some really polished and slick operation online and you've just got some stock content off them? I think people want to deal with a business that they trust, that is credible, that they have a really great relationship with. And I think being you is really important because you're going to be the one that goes out there at the end of the day. You don't have to look like you've got 200 staff and you've got this SMIC operation. You need to humanize it. And I think the same goes for things like reviews online. If I look up a restaurant online and they've got 1,000 five-star reviews and nothing but glowing commentary, I actually second guess it more than if I look at something real. People understand that things don't always go according to plan, and people want to see how you handle challenging circumstances. If a tradesperson's got a review online that gives them a 3-star because they arrived an hour late, acknowledging that feedback and saying, you know what, thank you so much. I am so sorry that we arrived late, but to make up for it, I'm giving you 50% off your next booking with us, and I promise you we'll never be late again. What a delightful experience for someone to see that they know that if anything goes wrong, that you have their back and you'll look after them. And I think people want that real, raw honesty. So I think it is really important to come across authentic rather than completely polished.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. Let's talk about something that's a bit more old school. So you've come from census, which is very print and so on, and we've kind of moved to video. One of the early stages of content that we used to do at Alexander Spencer was blog articles, and we used to write these really cool articles and share tax tips and 5 ways to reduce your tax, and we'd put them online and on our website, and we'd send it to all our clients. Do you think that's now outdated? Where do you see written articles, blog articles, and things going out to clients in a written format? Is that now dated, or does that still have a place?
I think it does have a place, but it has a place for a really different reason. So, for the first time ever in a really long time, traditional search is being disrupted, and they've started to see a decline in search across kind of traditional media. Today, AI search is completely growing. People are using tools and tech to help them do things, and you want to be able to answer those prompt questions that people are typing into their AI search bot. So I would actually be thinking about a lot of those blogs and a lot of that content, that's all completely crawlable today. And so that textual content is really going to help you. If you're creating blogs, think of the questions that people call you up and ask you about the most. They're the questions that people are typing into AI to find out about you. And so if they're asking you those questions, that's what you should be writing that blog content about. So I think whilst the behaviors of people have changed, it may not necessarily even be human beings reading that blog content on the other side. It is still important to make sure that you have it so that you're absolutely found.
For those that don't know what AI search is, just take us through what that is and how it's kind of evolved into what it is today and how people use it.
Yeah, no problems at all. So I'm a Microsoft user. So Copilot is the default software that we have on our computers at work. Now, I am looking at going on a European holiday with my husband next year. I sat on the couch and I asked AI last week. I was like, we want to go to Croatia and we want to go to Italy. We want to go for 2 weeks. My kids aren't interested in coming. I think they're more excited about having the house to themselves. And I used AI to help me craft an itinerary. I said the hobbies and interests that my husband and I were interested in, what we were looking at doing. My husband's a bit of a foodie. And so I got recommendations around hotels, around locations, around day trips that we should be doing. I was getting recommendations on where we must eat and things that my husband would really like. And I really used that to help shape and craft the trip that we were about to take. Now, people are going to do that exact same thing when their toilet's blocked. And it may start with they want a DIY handyman job themselves and find out what they can do. But that search may move on to the fact that this job is bigger than a DIY handyman and they're really going to need somebody to help them. And so I think people need to be preparing for the fact that that traditional I need a plumber in Camberwell may absolutely change to different search terms and prompts. So I think it is a really important one for people to still think about. Not necessarily going to change the world tomorrow for small business, but I think over the next couple of years, it is really going to transform the way that people are searching.
So in that scenario where you put in the prompt of where you should eat, where you should stay, and the things you should do in Croatia and Italy, does the AI then search the net, look at the best reviewed restaurants? So let's say it gave you 3 restaurant ideas, 3 steak restaurants, whatever it is. Did it actually search the net, find the best? So how does that business owner in Croatia go, okay, I need to stand out, I need to be recommended? What do they need to do behind the scenes to be the one that AI picks?
Yeah, it's a really interesting one. So I think AI search is looking not only at websites, it's looking at blogs, it's also looking at online directories. So a lot of the time people think, I need a listing on Google, but do I actually need a listing on all these other directories and who is going to search them? If you jump onto some of those AI searches, you can actually have a look at the source data. And a lot of the time that it comes through, it is an online directory or blog that's driving that content. So I would almost say find a partner that you can work with that can help you push that content out on the web. You don't need to sit there and be writing online listings that are going to go across 40 directories. You need to find a way to do it simply and easily. And there are so many great tools out there that small business owners can do that can help them populate those listings, populate them with really relevant content, but start to answer some of those unanswered questions that people are calling in and asking them.
So I've never heard, I know Google Business
Yeah.
but online directories, I mean, I'm of the world of yellow pages and white pages. I do remember the big thick books. But then when we went to Google and people build a website, and I know that then Google Business came up, which is a directory. When you say there are all these online directories, can you share some of those? Because I'd love to be on them. I don't think Alexander Spencer is on any of those.
Yes.
What are they?
There are lots of verticalized directories where you could be in the hairdressing industry or the beauty industry and different industries. There are still directories like the yellow pages and the white pages that are out there today, but there are so many different sources on the web that are relevant for people to be found. There are platforms like Nextdoor that you need to make sure that you're listed on, and some of those may not seem necessarily relevant when you're sitting there thinking, why do I need a listing on Nextdoor? I don't think anyone in Camberwell's searching on Nextdoor, but really giving you the power to say, people aren't necessarily going to these sites as a destination site. Those sites are serving up the content to all of the AI prompts in the back end. So making sure that you really are found across those platforms is critically important.
And let's talk about paid advertising. So I know there's been a little bit of disruption in that world as well, where because of AI search now, people are kind of typing into Google and they're getting either the Google's AI or they're going straight to Copilot or ChatGPT. Where does paid search become powerful now? Whether it's a sponsored, I need my plumbing, my bathroom fixed, and you get the sponsored ad. Is that now phasing out? Are people actually investing in paid ads, or is that something that small business should just do right at the end? What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's really hard for small business owners because there's so many places that they need to advertise and be found. So the world of being a small business owner is incredibly complicated today. Page search absolutely is relevant in today's world and has a place in today's world. For that hairdresser that maybe is just starting out, it wouldn't necessarily be the first place that I'd recommend that they go to. But I think based on the heading and industry, there really is an opportunity that you can partner with a small business and find the right things. I think when you look at platforms like social, they are great at being able to build your reach and exposure in your local network. That hairdresser can really target ladies between a certain age that like getting their hair done. Maybe they like health and fitness and beauty and well-being. And she can absolutely use social channels to target women in the demographic she's looking for in her local area so that her ads are served up to them. There is so much tech in the background that for a business owner, you don't now need to be creating ads across all of those social platforms. You can use a tool in the background to really harness the audience that you're wanting to attract and then really focus on serving your ads in that direction. I think as a business, though, grows and expands, there are still exceptional results that come through from paid search. Do I think in 5 years' time it will be as relevant as it is today? Potentially not with the pace of change. But I think if I rewind over my journey, 20 years ago, it was just an ad in the phone book. You then needed a website. You then started to need some social channels, a Facebook page, but now it's SEM, SEO, social display. There are so many different places that small business owners need to be that I think there is no one-stop shop. You really want to make sure no matter where somebody's searching that your business comes up at the top of the search results and that you can absolutely be found.
Let's talk about 5 years and maybe beyond. What are your thoughts? You're in the game, you've been doing this for a long time, and your business is about being, custom experience, being found online websites, and it went from the old way. We're sort of in this new way of doing business in terms of how we attract attention. Where do you see this all play out in 5 to 10 years? And what's Thryv thinking around that? Being a large company on the New York Stock Exchange, where do they see 5, 10 years play out in how we interact in small business, online, paid ads, and all of that world?
It is so incredibly powerful. So for a small business owner today, the world has never been more complicated. The pace of change has never been so quick. And I think for us, it really is making sure that both staying connected to our customers and also staying connected to search behavior and where people are searching. I think if I fast forward 5 or 10 years, I can tell you that people are going to be advertising in platforms and places that you and I have never thought of. And so I would love to have a crystal ball to be able to tell you where those platforms are. Are they even platforms? But it's really on us to make sure we're staying across and abreast of all of those changes happening in the market. But ultimately, for a small business owner, all of this is overwhelming. They are a hairdresser, they want to fill that seat, and they want to make sure there is bums in that seat all day, every day. And that's the measure of success for them. And I think for them, it's stripping out that complexity to say, find a partner that you can really trust, that you can work with, that can keep bums in seats in your salon, that can help you achieve your goals. Because maybe your goal of running a salon is to have some financial freedom, to buy your first house, to send your kids to private school, to be able to move into a factory and build an empire down the track. But whatever that dream is, don't let the complexity of today kind of hold you back. Try and find someone that you can work with that can really help and support you, and let them worry about that noise and that crazy. And you just worry about being the best hairdresser that you can be. And I think there is such great technology out there today that for lots of small business owners, they're saving hours and hours and hours every single week by being able to use tools to be able to support them grow their business, but grow it without them spending time. I think one of the biggest pieces I saw over the past couple of years is really that freedom of time. Small business owners were not able to turn up to their kids' footy game on a Saturday because they were bogged down with paperwork and admin and everything that came from running a small business. Lean into that. Let go of all of that kind of burden. Use some tech and tools to be able to help you grow your business. But ultimately, find someone that you can really trust, that's going to help and support you, that's out there and proven in the market. But I think the other really dangerous thing for small business owners is they can end up being overburdened by all of these tools as well. If you think of the Netflix subscription, where you end up with all of this subscription tech and you're not actually using half of it. So make sure whatever you're going to sign up for, make sure that you partner with someone really great, that they're going to help and support you, but also that it's really making a meaningful impact on your business.
I love that. If you could leave business owners with one piece of advice to strengthen customer loyalty, what would that be?
Mine is, think of the one problem that you have in your business, the biggest burning platform that is keeping you awake at night, and go and find someone to partner with that can absolutely solve that problem for you. I think if you can release the burden of your biggest burning platform, from there, there's no stopping you. And there are so many ways and so many tools out there to support small business owners. But I think my leap of faith is be bold and tackle that biggest problem first, and it will be amazing the freedom that comes from solving it.
I love that. Thank you so much, Elise, for joining me on The Bottom Line. I can feel the passion in you in terms of how you talk about the products that Thryv have created, the customer journey, and even the fact that you've been such a loyal employee and been there for so long. You can just see the passion. I know our small business owners that are listening today have getting inspired to go out there and find these tools and make sure that they're implementing things that they're going to improve their customer journey, improve their customer experience, and hopefully, ultimately, grow their business. And hopefully they're not up at night as much as they should be. So thank you for joining me on The Bottom Line.
No, thank you very much. And if anyone would like to know more, jump across and join us at thryv.com.au.
Definitely. Thank you. This is The Bottom Line, a show designed to help Australian businesses succeed. This podcast was produced by accountancy firm Alexander Spencer. At Alexander Spencer, we've been helping business owners realise their goals since 1952. And we play a pivotal role in developing, implementing, and supervising the business goals and strategies of our clients. To find out how we can help your business succeed, head to our website, alexanderspencer.com.au. To make sure you don't miss an episode of The Bottom Line, be sure to subscribe to or follow the show in your podcast app. And while you're there, leave us a 5-star review. It really helps others find the show. I'm Savan Tuna, and we'll be back next episode with more tips to help you transform your business. And that's The Bottom Line.